Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Happiness from Within, where our goal is to touch people's hearts and souls at a very deep level through interviews. Today, I had the pleasure to interview an incredible woman. Her name is Rebecca Whitman, and she is originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and currently resides in Los Angeles, California. She graduated from Princeton University with a degree in English literature and Italian language and culture. And as an executive director of the direct marketing company Equinox International, she developed and trained a sales force of over 1,000 individuals in 14 national offices. She was ranked number 3 out of 100,000 sales representatives in personal sales volume. And it's truly incredible. She went on to be a top producer at Mike Davidson Ford dealership in Jacksonville, Florida, where she helped them to develop a new marketing strategy for their internet marketing division. So in today's interview, we dive deep into her story of how she overcame being an alcoholic. Also, she's going to be talking about her amazing book, How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. So I just invite you to sit back, relax, and grab yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a green smoothie or a cup of coffee or tea, and I'll catch you in the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 20 of Happiness from Within. I am so ecstatic and excited to introduce you to today's guest, a powerful woman. Her name is Rebecca Whitman. So Rebecca is actually originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and she actually currently resides in Los Angeles, California. She graduated from Princeton University with a degree in English literature and Italian language and culture. And as a top producer at Mike Davidson Ford dealership in Jacksonville, Florida, she helped them to develop new marketing strategies for their internet marketing division. She moved on to the internet startup company called freetaxprep.com, where she was the vice president at business development. She is currently working for The Playground, a young actors conservatory. In addition to her business acumen, Rebecca has done extensive study in the area of metaphysics with such great teachers as Reverend Michael Beckwith, Esther Hicks, and Maryann Williamson. She has delved into the study of personal relationships with Dr. Pat Allen, Allison Armstrong, and landmark education. In addition, Rebecca has over 25 years experience in the 12 steps. And she also wrote a really amazing book, which she's going to be talking about, called How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. So I actually have her here on the line. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Janet. I'm so excited to be here. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Amazing. So I'm so excited to share your story with the world. So let's go ahead and jump in.
Okay.
So take us back. Where are you from?
I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then I went to Princeton University. So that's in New Jersey. Then I went to New York City, and then I went on a wild goose chase. I moved 22 times looking for fame and fortune, and then I ended up in LA, where I've been for the last 18 years. So I've lived all over this beautiful country, and all the while doing different sales jobs and also on a spiritual path. So I kind of merge business with metaphysics.
Oh, that's amazing. So take us back to your childhood. Do you have any siblings, or what was your childhood like growing up?
Well, it was very much on the surface. So my dad was a doctor. My mom was a housewife. By the time I was 5 years old, I had a tennis racket in my hand. By the time I was 8, I was playing at the national level. So my childhood was always about feeling the need to achieve, to just feel okay. And I had a lot of pressure on myself. It's kind of like the phenomenon of being a child actor. Like, I really feel like I didn't have a childhood. So part of the reason why I wrote the book that we're going to talk about, How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time, is I really want to enjoy life now, because my childhood felt very, very structured, and it was all about winning, and it was all about looking good. I had a brother who was 2.5 years younger than me, and I also had 3 half siblings that were significantly older than me from my dad's first marriage.
Oh, wow. Wow. So did you feel like it sounds like your parents really put a lot of pressure on you? Is that correct?
Yeah, I felt a lot of pressure to not only like look good, look pretty, be popular, get good grades, be a champion athlete. Yeah, I felt my parents' pressure, but I also felt, I think, society's pressure, because it's all about looking good in our society. And so what I've learned being on a spiritual path is it's more important to feel good than to look good.
Wow. That's really powerful what you just said.
Thank you.
I love that. So moving forward, so you were having this pressure through childhood. Can you talk about internally some of the insecurities that you were going through, even though everything on the outside to everybody else might have looked perfect, but can you talk about some of those insecurities that you were having and then how you dealt with them?
Yeah, well, I remember just if I lost a tennis game, I would just go to my room and like cry for hours. And later on, looking back, I realized that I wasn't just playing for, to win a game. I was playing for self-worth and self-love and my parents' approval, which I so desperately wanted. So how I dealt with it was not in a healthy way. When I was 14, I drank for the first time. And after that, I became a periodic or episodic drinker, meaning I could, not drink for a few days, but I based my whole weekend around actually getting drunk. And it ended up landing me in Alcoholics Anonymous when I was 19 years old. And when I was in college, I kind of crashed and burned around my first significant romantic relationship. And I had like a mini breakdown, and I discovered AA through the school psychiatrist. He actually gave me a test, one of those pamphlets, Are You an Alcoholic? And that kind of started me on a spiritual journey, because it's 12-step programs are very spiritual in nature. So that whole thinking of, wanting to be perfect, it all crashed and burned when I was 19.
Well, thank you very much for opening up and sharing that part of your story. That's really deep.
Thank you.
So I'm really curious because I do interview a lot of people that have been on a just amazing spiritual journey. So I'm really excited to actually dive into this part of your life. So it sounds like you had a spiritual awakening. You were drinking, and then so what happened after that? What is it that kind of opened up for you soul wise?
Well, when I came to my first AA meeting, I was 19 and I was an atheist, and my dad was an atheist. My mom came from 19 generations of rabbis. But
really? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I actually have from the 23andMe test the same DNA as Mary Magdalene. I know that sounds crazy, but
wow.
Yeah. So I know, because I looked up like famous people with my mom's DNA strand. So she comes from like this huge lineage of like rabbis and Jewish scholars. But because my dad was 20 years older than her, and, it was kind of like his way or the highway, we didn't really grow up with any spirituality. So, once in a while I'd go to temple with my grandparents, but it wasn't like inside of me. It was outside of me. So what happened was I went to my first AA meeting, and it was in an Ivy League, Gothic, beautiful room. And it was a candlelight meeting, and the people were sharing so authentically and so vulnerably. And I really I'd never heard anyone talk like that. And I was like, these are my people. Like, they're actually vocalizing the thoughts and feelings that I've always had and never knew how to verbalize. And I just started throwing myself into the 12 steps. So the third step is to make a decision to turn your life and your will over to the care of a higher power, which you can make anything. So I had to reconstruct a higher power that worked for me. It wasn't the Judeo-Christian kind of Zeus or Santa Claus making a list of who's naughty or nice. It was more of, I don't know, like a loving, happy, joyous, like high vibrating, blissful feeling. And these are the type of feelings that I've been looking to cultivate ever since that opened up for me. Ever since I experienced that kind of loving, high vibrating, blissful feeling, I've wanted more and more. So you can say that my higher power is love. My spirituality is love based. And it's, if I don't know what to do, I ask, what would love do? If I don't know how to respond, I ask, how would love respond? So that is kind of my North Star, is just to be a loving presence in the world.
Wow, that really touched my heart. That is so beautiful. Wow. So then what city were you in when you were going through this transition? Where were you living?
I was in Princeton, New Jersey.
Oh, you were? Okay.
So they had really great meetings in the local town there. They had meetings on campus, but they had some great meetings in the town. And I mean, there was just, it was great. I was of service. That's another big part of my spirituality that I learned in AA. It's like being of service. So I would make the coffee, I would greet people, and I really, became a part of that local town away from the university, which was really good for me because the university was like all the perfectionistic overachievers all in like one campus. So if I felt pressure as a kid, I really felt it even more as a student. But because I had this kind of alternate reality going of being on a spiritual path and going to these local meetings in the town and learning more and more about my relationship to my higher power and to like my soul, it really was a nice buffer for the pressure that I felt on that campus.
So then what happened after that? Once you were going through all of this and having your spiritual awakening, what happened after that?
So what happened after that was I moved to New York City, and I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but I didn't know that you had to start as like an unpaid intern. I thought, I just graduated from Princeton and my parents just spent over $100,000 on my degree, and I should be able to like start with a corner office or something. So I interviewed at all the big entertainment companies in New York City, like Turner and all the different networks. And they all said that I would, qualify for their internship. And I was like, no way, I got to get paid. So what happened was I answered an ad in the newspaper and it said, circle me. And I kind of took my spirituality to fatalism, where I was like, ooh, it's meant to be. It said, circle me. And it said, if you sell these products for 5 years, you can retire a millionaire. And I was like, I'm very intrigued. So I went to a meeting, and it was in Queens. It was like, I had never even been to that part of New York City. It was like 3 train rides away. And it was like this office, and they were talking about if I would just sell nutritional products, weight loss products, water and air filtration, I could be rich. And they were like showing me all these testimonials of people who had done it. And I'm like, oh my God, because my dream was still to pursue the entertainment industry. I said, if I just sell these, water filters for 5 years, then I can move to LA and be an actress. So I started with this company. And what happened was I stopped putting AA meetings first. I was still on a spiritual path. I was still journaling and reading spiritual literature, but because I didn't have the community of the meetings, I ended up drinking again. So I still maintained a spiritual life, but it was kind of dulled. Like it says in the AA literature, like we block out the sunlight of the spirit. Like there was a connection there, but it wasn't as clear of a connection as when I was not drinking. So that's the next chapter. Was me working all over the country, opening offices with this group of young people in this network marketing company. And I always joke that it was the best looking group of broke people I've ever associated with, because everybody was like, good looking, driving these fancy cars, wearing these fancy suits. But then we would go home and like share 2-bedroom apartments with 8 people and like live on peanut butter and rice cakes. So it was fun, but it was also kind of, very, very much like, I don't know, bait and switch. Like we looked like we were so wealthy, but we were not actually that wealthy. So that's what was happening there. And then that company was actually shut down by the Federal Trade Commission for misleading income claims. Imagine that. And then
Wow.
I ended up working for an internet startup company that was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And that was like literally the last piece of the internet startup pie in the early 2000s before that all crashed and burned. But I made enough money to move to LA, which had been my goal, pretty much all my life. was to live in LA, and I landed in LA in 2001.
Wow, that's amazing. So just to go back for a second. So when you said that you started drinking again, do you feel that, because when we use substances, right, whether it's alcohol or overeating, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel that you were numbing still pain from your childhood?
When I drank again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people do addictive, obsessive behaviors because they have pain that they don't want to feel. So it could be, in my case, it was unprocessed childhood trauma, which led to very kind of toxic, negative type relationships with men who were ultimately emotionally unavailable, and some were even emotionally abusive, or I was unavailable, so it was kind of to numb my pain around my childhood, but I think I thought it was from my relationships, kind of like a Bad Country song. Like I would drink over my love life type thing, or act out, just wanting to be crazy, like wanting to be the girl that was dancing on the bar. I also had that side of myself as well. Wow,
thank you for sharing that. So you come to LA.
Sure.
One of the most prosperous cities in the world, right? Everybody wants to come to LA. So what happened? Was this like a turning point for you? You want to do acting? Like, let's talk about that. So you come to LA, and then what happens next, Rebecca?
Yeah. So I came to LA and I started working as an extra, which is, if your listeners don't know, that's a non-speaking actor in the background. So extras do not make a lot of money. Usually, in those days, it was the early 2000s. It was like maybe $50 a day for non-union and maybe $100 a day for union extras. So when I started, I was non-union, so I was making $50 a day. And I would go to the clubs here in LA to meet guys. And my favorite drink at that time was an apple martini. So the apple martini was $12.50, but I was only making $50 a day. So there's a dilemma there, right? So what happened was I would try to get guys to buy me drinks or drink at home or whatever. Meanwhile, I'm pursuing acting. And what happened was one day I found myself at a bar in Beverly Hills, and nobody was buying me a drink. And I just realized that I just can't do this anymore. I just can't, something's got to give. I can't just try to get guys to buy me a drink, not have any money of my own, be pursuing something where I'm so entry level after I had already made 6 figures in sales at the time. I was already the vice president of the internet startup company. So starting over as an extra took a lot of humility for me to do. And I just I just can't do this anymore. And then the next day I went to Palm Springs, and it was my first summer in LA. I didn't realize that you don't go to Palm Springs in August because it's way too hot. And I don't know if I had alcohol poisoning, food poisoning, or what, but I landed in the ER that whole entire day. And I just spent the whole day on an IV. And that was a huge turning point as well. So I came back to LA. I had been going to Al-Anon meetings at the time. If you don't know what Al-Anon is, for your listeners, Al-Anon is if you're affected by somebody's drinking or somebody's sobriety, you can go to Al-Anon meetings and learn how to be in relationship with recovering or drinking alcoholics. So I had been going to Al-Anon meetings, but because I got the days mixed up because I lost a day in the ER, I went to the same location, same church, same everything. But instead of an Al-Anon meeting, it was an AA meeting. And then I kind of remembered, oh yeah, I remember that feeling at the Ivy League school, how everyone was sharing authentically, how I was, relating to everyone. And I was kind of back in my tribe. And that was August 3rd of 2003. And I've been sober ever since.
Wow. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So then what happened? So you stopped drinking, and then you said you had a turning point. So what happened after that?
Well, when I got sober again, everything changed because I stopped going to the bars. I started meeting different friends that were sober and on a spiritual path. And that connection that I had that I had dulled by drinking, it got clear again. And I had a deeper, more profound connection with my higher power. And it's been deepening every day ever since.
Wow. So did you start acting, or what happened after that? Tell us.
Oh, with the acting?
Or just wherever you were in life, like just what happened after that?
Yeah. So I started working for a children's acting school at that time. I actually answered an ad on Craigslist, and it was for a children's acting school. And basically, I've been acting while I pay my bills at a children's acting school the whole time I've been in LA. So the playground is now I believe it's my fourth children's acting school. And it's been great because I don't have kids of my own, and I don't really desire to have my own kids, but I get to be around kids and be around their, fun, playful energy without any of the low side, the downside of it, where their parents can take them home and deal with that. But I get to, inspire them to be performers. So that's been really fun. And then I've had a chance to do some great acting things. So when I was an extra, I was on hit shows like Friends, CSI, and 24. And Friends was amazing because even though I was an extra, it was, in front of a live audience. And I got to do a scene with Jenifer Aniston, and it was and Matthew LeBlanc, and it was just awesome. And then in the last few years, I've been doing some independent feature films. So I did a animated children's film with Will Forte from Last Man Standing and Saturday Night Live. And it's called Lewis and the Aliens. And you can catch it on DirecTV, or you can find it on the internet. I'm sure you can find it on iTunes. And then I was in a horror movie called No Solicitors, which was an award-winning horror movie that you can find on iTunes. And I'm in a movie that's currently in post-production called Enter the Diamond. And it's a spy thriller. And I play the main female spy, Madam X. So I'm still pursuing the acting, but now what I've recently done is I wrote a book a year ago. So now I'm starting to coach and have international retreats and have a community around the people who follow the tenets of my book.
Oh, congratulations on all those achievements. That's really, really incredible. I mean, wow. Really,
thank you.
Really, really amazing. So let's talk about your book.
Great.
How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. That's very, very fascinating.
Thank you. So when people hear the title, they think, oh, is it like a business model? Is it no money down real estate? Is it, like network marketing? It's not a business model. Basically, it's a lifestyle book. So I divide life into 7 areas, and the goal is to have all these areas at a level 10. It's your spirit, and they're in order of importance. Your spiritual life, your physical fitness, your emotional life, your romantic life, your mental life, your social life, and finally your financial life. That's the last piece of the puzzle. So in the book, I give you tools, tips, and strategies to have each of those 7 areas at a level 10. And when you have all areas working at a level 10, you will make the money. That's the philosophy of the book.
Wow. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Can we actually dive into a few of these steps, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I would love to.
So the one that I feel kind of spirit calling me to bring up is the one about emotional. Because I do some coaching on the side also. And I work with a lot of young women. Mm-hmm. Dealing with anxiety and depression, because these are things that I've, have gone through a lot in my life and have overcome. But one of the biggest things that we talk about is just like this anxiety and depression. And I'd really like to hear your side of it, of how like emotionally, whether it's a man or woman listening to this, whatever age the person is, of how to have a level 10 emotionally when things are going forward, but then you go like a million steps backwards. But I just would love to hear your spiritual perspective, any sort of life experiences that you had on this particular topic of emotional. Yes.
Well, emotions are either in the past, the present, or the future. So if you're overly focusing on the past, you're in depression because you're like replaying a sad song in your head or a sad movie in your head over and over again about wanting something that didn't work out the way you wanted it to. So it's kind of like forgiveness is, there's some quote, it's like forgiving people for not having the past you wanted, forgiving the people and yourself for not having the past that you wanted. So depression is thinking about the past a lot. And I definitely struggled with that when I was in college and I was drinking and I was overeating, and that's how I handled my depression. Anxiety is thinking too much about the future. So if your emotions are focused on the future, like, oh no, what's going to happen? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be safe? Like, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So if we're thinking about the future that hasn't even happened, it's not even real, it's fiction. So I try to stay out of the future and out of the past. And my goal is to be in the present. And in the present, that is where the love is. That is where I can say, what would love do? How would love be? How would love respond? And if I feel myself going too far into the future or far back in the past, I just say, like, what is my next indicated action? Like, what do I need to do right now? What do I need to do with my feet? What do I need to do with my hands? Like, do I need to get into my car and turn it on? Like, step by step, because if I go too far into the future, and that's what I tend to do now, is I don't really think about the past anymore, because I really think that everything happens for a reason and that we're all exactly where we're supposed to be on our spiritual path. But I tend more toward anxiety and worrying about the future. So when I do that, which is what my tendency is now, I just try to, reel myself back in. What is my next step? What do I need to do right now? And that helps me with my anxiety. Also, meditation helps me with my anxiety. I have different mantras that I use, but I also really like the app Insight Timer. And depending on how much time I have, anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour, they have different timed guided meditations, and I can pick the topic. So there's one on anxiety, there's one on relationships, there's one on manifesting abundance. So it's really great because I can just kind of play with the time and the topic, based on what's going on that day.
Wow. I love that. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So my next question is and the other steps. So somebody that's listening right now, I'll let you pick a topic. Pick one of the other steps in your book, and let's dive a little bit deep into it.
Right. Well, since we've been talking about spirituality, one of the biggest tenets in the book is to set up a morning ritual. It's really important because how I start my day is the energy that I will bring into the day. So if I start my day, harried and anxious and upset and, I spill the coffee, I end up in traffic, get a parking ticket, like the stuff just compounds, right? Compounds, because wherever you focus, where your focus go, energy flows. So I try to set up my day by doing prayer and meditation. So I will light a candle or light some incense. I have a designated spot in my home. It's like this corner of really comfortable couch that we call the throne. And next to that couch, I have a whole pile of books that I read from, Louise Hay and Mariann Williamson and, 12-step literature and different meditation books, Yolanda Ivesant and all these different teachers that I like. And I'll read, from their book, and then I'll do some either guided meditation or I'll use a mantra. And that's it. And depending on how much time I have, that's how much time I'll allow. But I try to always check in, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and do that ritual before I go on with my day. And that really sets me up. And then if I feel myself, getting off track, anxious or depressed, which means I switch from love to fear. Because there are only two emotions from which all other emotions stem. So all the negative emotions, depression, anxiety, guilt, hate, resentment, they're all fear-based. And then all the positive emotions, love, joy, energy, vitality, bliss, they're all based on love. So if I feel myself switching in my head and getting into the negative emotions, I know that I'm getting fear-based, and then I can stop, take 5 minutes, reboot, listen to a guided meditation, breathe, call like a trusted friend or advisor, someone that is also on a spiritual path to get me, back on track. So it's, I'm definitely not a saint. I get derailed all the time, but I have, in the book, different ways, like I just described, to get myself back on track when I get into fear-based thinking.
Wow. That's really amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, Rebecca, because here I read something like 70 million Americans alone suffer with depression and anxiety. Maybe somebody listening to this right now, I'm sure, can really relate. What would you say to that person? I know you've given some tips, but that person listening right now, let's say they're going through some form of anxiety or depression. What is one piece of advice that you would give to them to not get stuck in that place and to take a step to get out of it starting today?
I would say that what differentiates us from animals is we can change our focus. And when I get into a depression or anxiety spiral, I feel like my mind is running me, but we have a soul, we have a silent observer that is running our mind. When I'm in meditation, I learn how to watch my thoughts go by and not attach to them. So it's kind of like watching traffic go by. You're watching the cars, but you're not in the car. You're not, my life is the car. And you get a kind of detachment. And what I would encourage you to learn is how to change your focus. So if you're thinking, oh my God, woe is me, my life sucks, change your focus, whether that is by exercising. That is a huge tool that I use to change my focus. I mean, that just, the dopamine, the endorphins, the serotonin that you get from exercise is amazing. You can change your focus with music. You can change your focus by interacting with a beloved pet. You can change your focus by going out and being of service to someone, whether it's helping an old lady across the street or talking to a homeless person. So it's all about learning how to change your focus and not spiraling out into whatever negative emotion you're feeling. So that would be the biggest tip that I could give your listeners if they're dealing with depression and anxiety, is to learn how to change their focus.
Wow. From my heart to yours, I really appreciate you sharing that, because, the women that I've been coaching recently, they've been dealing with just that. And, just to be very open and vulnerable with you, if you don't mind,
Sure.
This last 3 weeks, I've been going through a lot of that myself. The anxiety and depression came up, and it was just like that one thing that you said about being focused. Like for me personally, I was like, well, it went back to like, okay, reading more again, because I kind of got lapsy-daisy with that, right? And then as I started reading more and just having more time for myself, because I'm an empath, and spiritual like you, it was just, I was able to get out of it much faster. And I'm like, even I go back to when I went into the bathroom, I was looking into my eyes after meditating. I couldn't believe the transformation of just 20 minutes. I was like, I could see light back in my eyes again. And I know you understand because you've been through this too. And it's just amazing how just a little bit of focus can change your whole mind, body, heart, and soul. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that you were going through a hard time, but I'm glad that you're on the other side. And, that's what life is. I think of life as a roller coaster ride. And it's like what Abraham Hicks, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, says.
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I thought you wanted a ride. They talk about a White River rafting ride, but it's like they say, I thought you wanted a ride on a river. We didn't sign up just to have everything like hunky-dory all the time. When we decided to incarnate and when our souls decided to come into these bodies, we knew we were signing up for the ride of a lifetime. We knew there was going to be highs and lows and twists and turns and, anxiety and depression and bliss and love and breakups. And that's what it is to have a human incarnation. And that's what we signed up for. So if the only constant variable in life is change, it's going to be a ride. There's going to be ups and downs, highs and lows, twists and turns. How do we flow and how do we stay flexible with the change? So that's another spiritual concept that I really like. And I didn't really talk about it as much in the book because I've been practicing it more since the book. And and I'm always evolving and learning more tools, but just you're either in the flow or you're not in the flow. And when you're in the flow, like things just flow. Even if you're going through a breakup, it's like you're just flowing with it. You're allowing the emotions to just pass through you, and you're feeling them, but it's just like a river. When you see a river, it's flowing downstream. It's going that way, whether you want to swim upstream or not. The river's going where the river's going. So I believe the universe has an energy flow, and it's like when I get myself and my energy and my alignment in that flow, then everything's just so much easier for me.
Wow, absolutely. What do you like to do what's your favorite thing for exercise? What do you like to do to flow your day?
Oh my God. So that is how one of the most important tools other than my morning ritual is my exercise, and I base my whole schedule around it. Luckily, I have a flexible schedule. So yeah, I do HIIT training, high intensity interval training, and it's super fun. It's super exciting. I go to a boutique fitness studio. It's called Circuit Works. And if you're in LA, it's in Santa Monica. It's awesome. And it's 2 minutes of sprinting on the treadmill, followed by a 2-minute weight station. And you switch 10 times. So you get to work 10 different muscle groups, and you do 10 different cardio sets. So that is super fun, super high energy. I also love Legree Method Pilates. That's on the reformer machine. That's super challenging, super fun. I love yoga just to balance it all out. And today I did my first yoga sculpting class. I love hot yoga, yin yoga. I love every kind of yoga. It's so amazing for someone like me who's like a type A overachiever. It's really great just to like stretch out my muscles and like just kind of like calm down. So I really recommend yoga if you have, especially anxiety types like me. I'm more prone to anxiety than depression. Like it really calms me down to do yoga.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Definitely. I actually am addicted to hot yoga. I practice about six days a week.
Wow. That's an incredible practice. Wow. You must be so detoxed and so cleansed. Like there's no impurities in your system at all with all that sweating. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's really, I've had a crazy journey of like 3 different knee surgeries on my leg when doctors told me I'd never like walk again, and cured my body of this disease. So the yoga really...
What disease?
It was called pigmented venicular synovitis. It's like 1 in a million people get it. And
whoa.
Yeah, and it was... But hey, it's amazing to have overcome that because like...
Great.
So it's... We all have our beautiful spiritual path, to go through and then have a mission to help other people, so...
I love helping other people. My mission is to give fun and freedom to all those who come across my path. So it's amazing that even though we really didn't talk much, because we saw each other in the chiropractor's office, that you intuited that was, my mission. You asked me if I was a light worker. And I thought that was so cool because I really do feel that our purpose is to serve others. And I'm so, so grateful that I have an opportunity to serve you and your mission. And hopefully your listeners will, get something out of what I shared today.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I had a few more questions. I've just really enjoyed this interview so much. What are 3 words that describe you, Rebecca?
That's a great, I've not been asked that one yet. I would say funny, insightful, and hardworking.
I love that.
Yeah.
My next question to you is, what does happiness from within mean to you?
That's kind of your mission, right? Happiness from within.
Absolutely.
Happiness from within. What does that mean to me? Another really good question. You know what it means is not caring what other people think about me. It means only caring what I think about me and what God thinks about me. And like, it's a freedom and it's a way to be in the world where I don't care what other people think about me. It's just knowing that my intentions are to share love and light, and however I express that or do that is authentic and real. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it.
Wow. I love that.
Thanks.
My next question for you is when you take your last breath.
Oh boy. Okay.
How do you want to be remembered?
Wow. You are going really deep, very existential. I love it. I want people to remember me as someone who lit up the room, someone who changed the energy in the room for the better, someone who made them feel loved and just inspired. And like, I just want to be known as someone who just like lit everyone up with just this bright, loving light and energy. And that's what I want them, because Maya Angelou said, people will forget your name, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So I want them to remember how I made them feel, which was like excited and energetic and like full of love and light.
I have tears in my eyes right now. I have to tell you why, because let me tell you why, because I kid you not, when you come into the chiropractic facility, my team's like, oh, it's Rebecca. And you do light up the room, Rebecca, without you even knowing it. Like, you have that gift. Wow. Oh my gosh, that's just, that's so beautiful.
I know. Now you're going to get me crying too.
Wow.
If we're both crying, the podcast will not be able to continue.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So just my last thing is that I just want to open it up. Just anything on your heart, anything you're being called through spirit, through higher self, anything you would like to share with the audience.
Just like back to the roller coaster analogy, like when you get off a roller coaster, you're like, whoa, like that was so fast. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe it's over. Like, just to piggyback on your last question, like we're all going to die. Like this incarnation, this personality, this body, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Of course, our soul is eternal. So whatever problems your listeners are dealing with, whatever drama, whatever fear, doubt, worry, negativity, it's all going to be over one day. So I just want to encourage you guys to have fun and enjoy the ride, because when you know that a ride's going to end one day, you can just kind of enjoy the twists and turns and the highs and lows, and just enjoy it and just love yourself so that you can turn around and love other people. So that is what I will end with, is just like enjoy the journey. It's going to end, and try to have as much fun on the journey and share as much love with the other people on the journey as you can while you're on it.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Rebecca, where can people find you? I'm going to put the links below, but just...
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I'm sharing these incredible videos. They are snippets from my book. They're 1-minute coaching moments. They're really, really helpful to people, and they're on my Instagram, Rebecca E. Whitman. You can also find the same coaching moments on my Twitter at Rebecca E. Whitman. And Facebook, I have a page for my book called How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. You can find my book on Amazon under How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. Sorry, my dog's barking.
He's just happy. He's finding his happiness from within.
He is one happy dog. So you can find the book on Amazon under Rebecca Whitman. It's also on Audible or CD form if you don't have time to read. And yeah, that's how to keep in touch with me. So there's going to be a really cool show that I'm filming now that is going to be on my social media. It's called Mentor on the Move, where I go up to strangers in the streets of LA and I ask them if they could change one thing about their life, what would it be? And I offer them like 3 to 4 minutes of coaching. And we've already shot about 20 of those. So they're currently being edited. So make sure you tune into my social media to see the Mentor on the Move series. It's going to be awesome.
That's awesome. Actually, before we end, tell us a little bit about the coaching that you do. Maybe somebody might be interested and that resonates with that.
Yeah. So I do one-on-one coaching, and I do it over the phone or via Skype or Zoom. It's 45-minute sessions. I'm not going to go over the pricing now, but it's very affordable.
Oh, yeah, no, not the pricing. Just what do you specialize in? Like,
what do I specialize in? People who are feeling that they're not happy, that they're not in balance, that they I focus on the book. So the coaching program is focusing on the 7 areas of the book, and we do each area for a month, and we make sure we get that area as high functioning, as awesome as we can to a level 10, and then we move on to the next area. So it's based on the 7 areas of life as described in my book. And it's just a great way to get yourself recalibrated, and, so everything's in balance and you can experience happiness and joy and bliss, that the same feeling that I'm sharing with you guys. I want you guys to have that feeling too. And I know how to teach you how to do that through the principles of the book.
Okay, perfect. We can definitely put information about that below, and for people to connect with you on social media and for your book. So, well, Rebecca, from my heart to yours, I really want to thank you for such a beautiful interview, and really, really enjoyed this. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And it was really a joy to connect with you. And I so enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Okay. Enjoy. Take care.
Thanks.
God
bye.
bless. Bye.
Bye. Hello, beautiful souls. Well, that is a wrap. I really want to thank you from my heart to yours for tuning in to today's beautiful episode. You can follow Rebecca Whitman on Instagram at Rebecca E. Whitman. And you can also follow her on her website at Rebecca Elizabeth Whitman. I'm also going to include the link below. You can grab a copy of her book, How to Make a 6-Figure Income Working Part-Time. And wherever you are in the world, I just wish you such a beautiful day. And if you have received any value from this episode, if you can please hop on over to iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and leave a 5-star review and comment. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps to spread the message of happiness from within. And again, thank you, beautiful souls, and I wish you just a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.